Good morning. It is the Going On Daily Live morning show. I'm your host, Rodrigo, and I've got my co-host today, Chuck Allen. How are you, Chuck?
I'm doing awesome. I think we're going to get a good break to start our week here. The landscape guys showed up like 30 minutes early. So, where they normally start blowing these things out right here beside my door at 9 a.m., they're down the street now. So, I don't think they're going to bother us today.
Yeah,
It's
well,
it's
they
a
don't.
huge
You don't
ordeal
hear
for
it.
me.
You don't hear it when they're out there.
I know I got this awesome microphone, but I
I
hear
know
it and it's like it's distracting. I'm happy
it
that
is. It
they're
is.
out early today and that they've already taken care of my building, and that was the
Yeah,
only obstacle that I had to worry about this morning, and it's already been eliminated. So
I know the feeling because Bobby Boucher comes to my house on Fridays during the sports show to cut the grass. I think he wants a cameo, is what I think it is.
exactly. He's right
Yeah.
outside the window with the weed whacker for an
Yeah.
hour.
Yup.
I
Yup.
get it. I don't blame them. If they knew what was going on in here, they'd want to be a part of it too.
Exactly. And let me tell you, woo, this is going to be a good one today. Season 2, episode 220, The Shining.
Oh,
So, that, of course, will have something to do with today's show. It will.
stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, to find out
Um,
what The
Plus, it's
Shining has to do
a
with
great
today's
name for
episode.
a show for Spooky Week, right?
I like that you name the episodes. I don't name my episodes on my own podcast. And now I think that after doing a little research, it's probably hurt myself in that they just look up Keeping It Rio podcast and it's like episode 1 all the way through episode 240. And I put the people's name in it, but I'm going to start doing hashtags this week, which was the advice I received
Yes.
from a very
Yes.
wise man.
Yes. Oh, Wise Robert. Oh, here we go. Here comes the pitch. It's coming next. Uh, so yesterday we were doing the show and we had a fellow Jack commenting, and he mentioned that he was from Missouri. So I was like, "Oh, I can do a top 5 on Missouri today." Right? And I was like, wait, why does it feel like I've done Missouri? Well, I did do Missouri already.
Nice.
Um, it's episode 6 of Ron's Top 5, when we pull the segments out and make it its own show. So all you have to do is look that up, Jack, for the Missouri, and it was a great episode. That's why I was running late today, Chuck, and had to hurry to get the graphics done because I was watching it, and just the reaction that Kenny has during the top fives just makes me laugh. So I was watching that today. So I was running late, but I got it done. I got it
Got
done,
it
and
done.
that's
That's
what
all that
matters,
matters.
right?
It's Monday. Monday is my Saturday, so I don't have anything work related going on today. I already
Yeah,
did a podcast about 2 hours ago, so that was good. And I
there
am
we
going
go.
to find some trouble to get into today, but probably not for at least another hour. We're safe
Yeah.
for an hour.
So look, if you're new to Rhode Island broadcasting, Chuck does his keeping it Rio. And he does that so you can just look up Chuck Allen everywhere. Um, but we do air it here at noontime on Sundays. So I didn't put it on during the game. So it's like kind of like a precursor to the game.
It's your warm up, ladies and
It's the
gentlemen.
warm up.
But if
So
you're
you got
here
to
in
check it out.
Texas, it actually noon is the start time of the game. So I've been going heads up with the NFL the last couple weeks, and I feel like Keeping It Rio has been winning that heads up battle with the
It has
NFL.
certainly edged it out.
There you go.
Certainly
All
has.
I'm trying to do. I'm trying to take out Joe Rogan, and on my way to Joe Rogan, I've got to take out the NFL. I'm happy to do it. Someone's got to do it. It might as well be me.
Yeah, might as well. So we got a great show today, and let me tell you, um, there will be my paranormal stories. So I got some dandies for you, and you don't want to miss that. And Chuck's got I lived in a haunted house one time, so I can't wait for that one, also. And then, of course, Ron's top 5. I'll just leave it at that. You'll have to just stick around to watch.
Stick around, fans.
You're not gonna
No,
want
Ron's top 5 is magic every single time.
you're not gonna want to miss it. But let's jump right into it, Chuck. World's greatest Halloween costume.
Oh, this is a good Halloween themed topic. As we are aware, here in the United
Yep.
States, we've got Halloween coming up a little bit later on this week. Some of the traditions historically throughout humankind have included dressing up in
Yep.
strange costumes, going out, emulating your favorite sports stars, your favorite actors, your favorite dinosaurs, whatever it may be, right? And I'm sure much like myself, Ron, you probably have some memories from back in the day. Maybe we don't go out trick or treating
Oh yes.
anymore. I tried to when I was 42 and they told me I was too old, but I used to do this all the time, and we'd dress up and we'd have these great Halloween contests to see who had the best costumes. And I would like to start this segment by asking you, in your lifetime, to your best recollection, what was the best Halloween costume that you have ever presented to the world?
Oh, well, I remember going to a Halloween party at some club.
All right.
And, so me and my girlfriend at the time dressed up in, I would say, a Middle Eastern, I was dressed as a Middle Eastern Arab.
All right.
Okay. And she was dressed as my harem girl.
Okay.
And we won for best costume.
That's
I
what I'm
mean, we
talking
looked that
about.
good. Like if I came up in a limo, people would have thought I was some rich dude.
Just like in modern times.
Yeah, and I say because that one I won a contest for, but my favorite was the year I was living in Pawtucket and I was renting out a house and I decided, I'm gonna put a scarecrow out on the front step sitting in a chair. So for 2 weeks that thing was sitting in a chair. And I decided, what am I going to be for Christmas? So what I did, I mean Christmas, Halloween. And so what I did is I took the costume at that scarecrow, took out all of the stuff, and I wore the costume and I sat in that chair. Oh my god, Chuck, I scared every kid in the neighborhood. Every single one. All you can hear is because I'm sitting still and it's like, "Go ahead, you go first." It's like, "I'm not going first, you go first." It's like, "Yeah, but that thing's been here all week." And it's like, "Yeah, but you go first now." And when they get there, oh my god, the jump scares, Chuck, it was awesome. So that one was my favorite costume because it was out there for 2 weeks and people know this when they go and buy the house, they see it.
And still. And now I think something that we just uncovered here that was lost in the spirit of the entire thing is the true meaning of Hollywood or Halloween fans is to scare kids. It's to scare
Mhm.
the children. And Ron did his
Yes,
part by scaring the kids, making them, fearful. Probably years later, they were still hesitant to ring on doorbells and, they,
absolutely.
they didn't trust. And that
I had
to
kids
me is
running down the street. It was so fun.
that is doing your part for the tradition, for the
Yeah.
holiday. So kudos to you. Now, let me
Yeah, I
tell you
didn't
a little
give
story
kudos. I
about my
gave big
favorite,
candy bars.
right? Let me tell you a little story about my favorite Halloween costume. This was the most ridiculous thing that's ever happened in my entire life, but similar. I thought I had the best costume at this party that I was at. I did not win any prizes. I feel like it was slanted heavily towards the homeowner of the Halloween party. They won. They had all the best everything. But here was my favorite one. And I was probably about 23, 24 years old. Little old to be dressing up, but sometimes you just got to do it. You got to remain young forever or else you get old.
Yeah.
So we're having a Halloween get together. This has been years and years ago, before cell phones, before cameras and all that stuff. Thank God. But show up and it's like, well, what are you gonna wear for a Halloween costume? I don't know. Hadn't thought much of it. So we went to a costume shop and I found the most perfect Halloween costume of all time. I still own it. I don't know where it's at, but I still own it to this day. And Ron, my most successful Halloween costume, I believe, was the greatest one ever in the history of the world. And another reason for Halloween is you want to get attention. You want people to notice. You want people to comment. And maybe you're not going to scare everybody, but some people are going to point and laugh, right? This is the angle that I like to take in life. I like to be funny and lighthearted and,
Yeah.
aw shucks. Well, I go into the store and I found the perfect costume. And it was a one piece. Basically, you slid it on and it had the sleeves cut out. And it was three-dimensional. It was going outward. And what this was, Ron, was a toilet. I was dressed as a toilet for Halloween one year. And this thing was so good that you'd be walking around and it had like the bowl. You could lift the bowl up and it had blue like felt in there for the water. It had a little flusher. It had the whole, like, I look like a legit toilet. It was probably the coolest thing ever. But what made this the world's greatest costume? I took a little bit of intuition, a little bit of creativity, and a little bit of adult humor. I'm not going to lie. And I had to put one specific prop on the costume that would make it memorable for life. And that one prop, Ron, was a Baby Ruth candy bar that had peanuts in it and
Oh
was
no,
chocolatey and
that's
had all that
awesome.
stuff going on. So I
It
did not
does
win
look
the
like it.
contest for the best Halloween costume the year that I dressed as a toilet, but
Oh,
10,
that's
15 years
funny.
later, people still remember it. And to me, that's the real win.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I've never been able to share the story about dressing as a toilet. It was way before the cell phones and all that stuff. So only a
Yeah.
select few people even know about this. But ladies and gentlemen, that was the greatest Halloween costume
Oh,
ever.
that's a great one.
And it was the year that Chuck dressed as a toilet. And yeah, it was kind
Yeah.
of interesting.
No, that's a great one, Chuck. Like, see, but you can't, just create these moments in time. They just happen
It
naturally.
just happened. I had no intention of
And
being a toilet for Halloween as
yeah,
I walked into the Halloween costume store. That thought had never crossed my mind, not
yeah,
once. And it turned out to be my favorite of all time.
absolutely.
You
You gotta
know,
love those moments. It's fun. It's fun. When you get to have a good time, it's like I I can't say that I miss it completely because, you know, it's only been a couple of years for me.
yeah, I tried to go
you
trick or
know,
treating 2 years
a-
ago.
at the house where I was living in Somerset a couple of years ago. We used to do I used to set up the whole yard with, like my niece and her husband. We would set up the whole yard, um with like a haunted little maze that people used
Oh,
to
yeah.
go through, and it was petrifying. Because our house looked like the haunted house. It was like all dilapidated. It was a mess. But it was one of the best things. I love Halloween for that. And it's like, I mean, when little kids are coming and they start crying and stuff like that, we don't try to like devastate them. It's the teens that we like to do. We
Yeah,
like to get those
absolutely.
kids.
Nobody's trying to take out the little kids, but the
Right,
mid-sized kids, yeah,
right.
yeah,
Yeah, so
that's when it's
we
fun.
kinda take off the scary masks and stuff like that for the little ones, and, and we give out good candy. Like, it's like Reese's, Milky Way, Hershey's, all kinds of stuff like that. We don't give away like we used to have somebody that gave away popcorn. They made popcorn and put it in a baggie. And it's like we don't want this
That's
or the trail
terrible.
mix.
If you're giving away popcorn and trail mix in modern times, now I agree. We had some of those back in the day, and
Yeah.
it was like, you know
Oh,
what?
they suffered. They
The
suffered.
kids the kids don't appreciate the homemade gestures. The
No.
kids don't appreciate any of that. We want Snickers bars, we want Reese's peanut butter. We want the
Yeah.
good stuff. We don't want
Right.
the Andes mints or the York
The
peppermint patties.
butterscotch.
The butterscotch. Come on.
I
You
like
know?
butterscotch, but I didn't want it for Halloween.
No.
There's Jake right now. How are you doing, Jake? Welcome back again.
What's up, Jake?
Um, just Halloween is just a fun time, and it is for the kids. And do something special. And I'm disappointed because I got all ready. I bought all the candy, and I'm like ready for kids last year. Kids don't come around here
I
where I
don't
live
feel like
now.
kids do trick or treating
Not
that much
one.
anymore. I think that the world has changed, and I think that's one of those traditions that is kind of slowly passing on,
I
which is
hope not.
sad. And I will say this, I saw the best, and I've got some friends over in Ohio that like really get into the Halloween and Thanksgiving and Christmas and really do all this stuff with the holidays. But here, last year, I was doing a roofing repair assessment for a lady not far from me, maybe just a couple miles down the road. And I end up
Yeah.
in this subdivision, and I remember that they had mentioned something about this specific street being the one in San Antonio that has the best Halloween. All the people on the street do their yards up real big and all that. So I thought, okay, I'm going to take a walk down through there. And Ron, I saw last year here in San Antonio the coolest thing ever. It starts off as kind of like a graveyard, and you're walking through this guy's front yard, and then it starts getting a little bit sketchy. It starts getting dark, and then right in the front yard, this guy has a giant hearse, like a legit hearse, and it's got the personalized plate that says Dead Texan, DEDT3XAN, Dead
Oh
Texan.
wow.
And you walk past it, and it's got a skeleton that's got on the
Oh,
chauffeur's
the
hat,
cat.
and he's hanging
Yeah.
out the window, and it's playing Halloween music as you walk by. But I thought that was probably the best one I've ever
That's
seen.
awesome. See, I appreciate people that do that because that it's just in the spirit. When you get somebody that does those things, they know who they're targeting, and they are targeting the kids for these things. And yes, it can be scary, and I get it. Kids are going to be frightened, you know, but that's a normal thing. And you need to expose your children to these things. You can't keep them sheltered. Oh, we're not going there because it's too scary for little Johnny. Well, Johnny would appreciate it. He might be
Yeah,
scared to
older
death.
Johnny will definitely appreciate it, because if
He would
Johnny's 40 years old and
appreciate
he's
it.
afraid of everything, you did him a disservice, mom and dad.
Absolutely. And I like people that go out of their way to do something for others. And that is doing something for others, whether you believe it or not. It is, because you're making a holiday that isn't even a holiday. You're making it enticing for people to go out and enjoy life. And I
Absolutely.
just I appreciate when people do stuff like that. I do.
I do too. 100%.
I
Halloween's
love
one
it.
of my favorites.
It is. It is. It's definitely one of my favorites. It's always been. So look, hey, if you got picture, look, if you have pictures of yourself in costumes, please just post it up. You can do it on Twitter, whatever. Just post up the photos. I don't know if you can do that with YouTube or not. But if not, just go to the Twitter, broadcasting our ride. Start tagging us in with your Halloween photos, and I will go look at them. Absolutely. And I will probably post some on the show.
There you
I'll
go.
come on. I'll come on maybe Thursday, little segment, and I'll come on and I'll show the photos of people that post them. So please, by all means, do that. That would be spectacular. Let us into your life. We're letting you into ours. We come on the show and we do a lot of talking and stuff like that, but we're being ourselves, and you're going to find out today that we have stories,
Oh
and
yeah.
I can't wait to share. I can't wait to share. I always do. Even though when I don't want to, and I still do. With
It's
like
part of the
Kyle
charm. Sometimes we
and
say things
Luana.
and then it's like, shouldn't
Yeah,
have
they
said
talk
that,
all
but I
these
did.
healing stuff, and it's like I don't want to say anything, but then I can't help it.
Put a microphone in
So
front of you.
yeah, exactly. So you are watching us live on Kick, YouTube, and Rumble at Rhode Island Broadcasting. So if you're on YouTube, click that little bell so you always know we go live. We are also live on Twitch at RI_broadcasting. And there you can send us bits. Bits only cost a penny. So if you send 4 bits, me and Chuck and I, however you want to say it, we can put our 2 cents in with those 4 cents. You can also watch us live now on Twitter/X at Broadcasting RI. So again, Broadcasting RI at Twitter, you can send us those photos for sure. I don't know if you can do it with YouTube. I've never tried to send a photo, but you can try it.
It's something to learn. I'm gonna find out today.
Yeah. So, you can also listen to the audio platforms at Spotify, Red Circle, TuneIn, and iHeartRadio at RI Broadcasting. So get on there. Red Circle, you can also donate. Um, Follow us on all our social medias, but not limited to these: MeWe, TikTok, LinkedIn, Blue Sky, Parlor, Space Hay, and Gab. And also at Patreon, you can also follow us there. And we have these awesome mugs. Awesome mugs.
Those mugs are awesome.
It's got my orange juice today. Not that Shores Light crap, but
Real sugar.
not the Shores Light crap. The Tropicana Light
Yeah,
crap.
no more.
I do have the Shores Light orange
And
juice, and it
it's
actually
good
tastes
though.
like orange juice.
There you go. Ringing endorsement, ladies and gents.
So get the Shores version, not the Tropicana Light.
Tropicana's playing.
I like the regular Tropicana, but I need to cut down on sugar. So
Me too. Big time.
all right. You can follow us on Facebook at the Going On Daily Morning Show page. You gotta get on there because we want to be able to go live on Facebook again after Mark Zuckerberg yanked it out from under us. So 10,000 fans gone in an instant. So now we are trying to recapture all of those folks. And so get on Going On Daily Morning page on Facebook, share it out so that way everybody that jumps on as well. Because you're gonna love the programming. I mean, we have everything.
Got
It's
it
like 20
all.
something shows, and it's like we have something for everybody, including paranormal.
Uh-huh.
So get on there. And also to find out everything, all of these things, it's all on Rhode So you can go there, follow us on there. You can find out all the hosts of the show where they can be found. And you can find other shows. There's movies, there's music, there's all kinds of stuff. all kinds of stuff, including voting for the Going On Daily Hall of Fame. This month, we are doing Cheers, Happy Days, Golden Girls, MASH, and Married with Children. Come on, Cheers. Let's go.
Oh, Cheers needs a little
Golden
prodding with
Girls
the
still in the
stick,
lead.
huh?
Golden Girls still in the lead.
I felt like the Golden Girls were like the Barbaro of this month's Hall of Fame. They were just destined for greatness. They took off out of the gate, and it was like,
They
well,
did.
I don't think
They
anybody's
did.
catching them.
Yeah.
They have some stiff competition, but the Golden Girls they're universal. I don't think
Yeah.
anybody, I don't know anybody that doesn't love the
Because
Golden
people love
Girls.
old ladies, right?
Who doesn't?
You know? Like, because they all, like, anybody that's like in their 30s or 40s and 50s, it just it reminds them of mom, right? And then people
Exactly. They're
younger than that, it
classy.
reminds them of their grandmother. So it's
I
hard
love
not
the
to like
Golden
them.
Girls. I feel like the Golden Girls have already basically they've assumed the throne for this month. They're going to be inducted. All of them are going to have those ceramic busts made of themselves, and
Yep.
I might even come back. I think I was talking about how I saw the craft beers with the Golden Girls. Maybe I celebrate their induction into the Hall of Fame by thank you for being a friend light or whatever it's
Oh
called.
yeah, yeah. There you go. The IPA.
Yep. I wish Married with Children would have done better, but I don't know. I think Married with Children has a very divisive type programming, whereas the Golden Girls, everybody pretty much agrees that they're funny. Even though I think the Golden Girls are just older lady versions of Al Bundy, I think it's sometimes more
This is
appropriate
true.
coming from an old lady
This
than
is
coming
true.
from a guy that sells shoes for a living. But
It's actually kind of funny.
maybe Married with Children makes it in next year. I hope.
There you go. So get on there and vote, vote, vote. Please do that. You can also just throw a vote in the chat. It
Exactly.
gets counted. So, but we want you to go to the website to see what's there. I mean, we have a bunch of things, so you might want to do it. But you can
Hint,
throw
hint.
the vote in the chat, and that is suffice. So, Jake, if you are here still, which I don't doubt that he is, you can actually put your vote right in the chat right now.
Jake, I dare you to do that. Tell us who you're voting for, my friend. We want to get a feel for the audience. We want the pulse. We want to know what people are thinking. We're thinking Golden Girls, but maybe Jake is a Happy Days kind of guy. Maybe
Of course,
he's
he
the
could be
cheer.
18 and not know what any of them are.
This is true. At that point, I think Golden Girls probably wins just by, for some reason, everybody still knows who the Golden Girls are, even years after they've been gone.
Yeah.
They're still quite popular.
All right. Anyway, we can move on to my paranormal stories. I got the little tree. It's a big tree that's right above me, head in the trees. Look, I was trying to think of what I wanted to do for Spooky Week here at Going On Daily. I did a couple of segments yesterday. Now it's time for my actual true to life stories. Now, these things happen to me. Okay. Now, the first one was I used to work for the YMCA.
All right.
And, so I worked with like kindergarten through middle school. And, as the kids got older, I just kept moving up the age group because I wanted to be with those kids, right? Well, we went to summer camp. And during the summer, we have all the different kids, and I worked with what they call CITs, counselors in training. So these were middle school kids that, wanted to be part of the camp and do things like that and go and help out the counselors and do that. So we decided, and it was never done before. We decided, hey, let's come back to the campground and sleep over, you know, overnight at the camp, right? Thought it was a great idea.
Sounds like a great idea.
Brilliant idea, right? So all my CITs decided, yeah, we're going to do that. And so we had Providence kids and then there were Smithfield kids. So we had the city kids and then, the suburbs. Only one Smithfield kid decided they wanted to do it. Okay, so that was a female. So we ended up having, I believe it was 8 kids. It was 6 boys and 2 girls. So in order to do that, we had to have a female counselor,
Right.
right? So we got the female counselor, and we wanted to go swimming. So that meant we had to get one of the lifeguards, and a lifeguard did volunteer. So we had the 2 counselors to go along with me. So Friday after camp, we all went back to, the YMCA in Providence, and everybody went home, and they had, an hour to go home, eat, get your things that you need, and then come back and meet at 6 o'clock at the Y. So we do this. We get in, we go, right? Everything's great, right? We get there, we get all settled in. People pick their spots for the sleeping bag in the cabin that we have there, because we do a candy store in the cabin along with, their daily things. So we have a cabin and everybody picks their spot, you know, and we go about our business and they go down to the water, they go swimming and the whole bit, right? All fun, all fun. So we're back at the cabin. It got dark, right? So
Uh-oh.
I'm getting the fire ready to cook, to make some burgers and dogs, right, in the fireplace.
Of course.
And this girl Kathy, who was one of the CITs, and I knew her for quite a while, like 5 years, I think it was at this point. And she's like, "Hey, Ron, you forgot to shut the light off in the art pavilion, because there's an art pavilion, and then it's a little slope down to the cabin. So we're literally like 20 feet away from the arts and craft pavilion, which has a covered top, and it had, I believe, 10 picnic tables in in an area." And I'm like, "Shut the light off. I didn't go into the pavilion. I didn't go in there." So I went outside and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And the light was on. And I'm like, "I didn't go in there." And she's like, "Oh, well, maybe, the groundskeeper went in there." And I'm like, "No, he gave me the keys Thursday because he wasn't going to be around all weekend. And when we came in, he wasn't there." So I went up, I unlocked the thing, and I shut the light off. And I went back down. No problem, right?
Sounds good.
Sounds good. So I start getting prepared for the food, and I'm just putting them on the fire. And she's like, "Hey, Ron, the light went on again." So I'm like, "Wait, what?" So I went in, I unlocked the door, I checked all the windows, everything was secure. There was nothing going on. And they have the back door had like the rungs where you put the board on it, and it had rungs at the bottom, rungs at the top, and the rung was at the bottom. I mean, the board was on the bottom rungs, right? And I pulled on it, and I'm like, "Well, I mean, if anything's going to come in, it would be like a bird or a squirrel or something. Nobody can fit through there, right?" So I shut the light switch off and I went back down. Soon as I got in the cabin, light went back on.
Mm.
So now the lifeguard went up with me, and we did a search around, and now it's pitch black. You can't see anything because it's in the middle of the woods. It is dark. And we're using the flashlights, looking through the bushes and stuff like that. There's nothing out there. There is nothing. Go back in, unlock the cabin, go back in, and the windows all have these middle metal grates, and the spaces are only this big, so nothing can
Yeah,
go through it.
nothing's sneaking through there.
Right? So everything was secure. Shut the light, went back down, light went on again. And this is the light switch going on. It's not just like a short in the thing. It's the light switch that is being turned on. So we went up again. We went in. We did the search. And that back door, I pulled on it. And I'm like, the bottom kind of like gave a little. So, and I'm like, wait a minute. The board was on the bottom rung. It is now on the top rungs. And I'm like, this cannot be. It can't be. There's got to be a logical explanation. So I drove up to the beginning of the campground, and nobody was there. So the guy wasn't there. So I drove back down, parked the van, went back in, and the light went on again. Now I have kids freaking out.
Justifiably so.
Right? So I we both at the same time looked at each other, me and the lifeguard, and we looked at each other as like, what the hell is going on? And we went up, did a search, we left the lights on. We went back down. The kid is freaking out. He's like, I want to go home. I want to go home. I want to go home. And the lights went off. And I was looking right at the pavilion when the lights went off. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? Well, the kid was freaking out so bad that the female counselor, Christina, decided, all right, I'm going to take him home. So she called the parent and stuff like that, but she can't take him alone. So she has to have at least two other kids go with her. So the two girls went with her because we thought it was appropriate. Two girls with the
Sure.
female counselor. That's the way it should have gone. Because if they would have stayed, then there could be a thing, that comes up. They have to go to the bathroom, and you can't be, you can't be alone with a kid. So we didn't want to put anybody into any kind of situation that could turn disastrous. So we sent the two girls with Christina and the boy. They were gone 3 hours.
Oh.
It only took like 35 minutes to get back to Providence from where we were. And we're like, where the hell are they? Right. So one of the kids decides, this kid Victor, love the kid to death. They still keep in touch with me too, these kids. He's like, hey Ron, I left my backpack at the pavilion in the sports field. And I'm like, go get it. He's like, I'm not going up there alone. And I'm like, well, take Tristan. And Tristan's like, I ain't going if you're not going. And I'm like, oh, come on. It's like, you're 7 feet tall. What's going to happen to you? Right? It's like, I'm not going unless you go. And I'm like, all right, I'll go. So I decided to go up there with them. So I have my car there because I didn't drive the van. I drove my car. So I piled them into my car, and then the lifeguard says, oh, I'll go up with you guys. So we left like 3 boys in the cabin because they didn't want to even go outside. They were staying in that cabin. So we went up. We drove up to the sports field because it would have been like a 20-minute walk in the dark, and nobody wanted to do that.
Yeah, nobody's got time for that when there's already some
There's
possible
already crap
hauntings going on.
So we drove up to the sports pavilion. So I parked so that way the headlights would shine onto the pavilion. and I can see the backpack there. I said, "All right, go get it." And he's like, "No, you're coming with us." And I'm like, "Oh, for God's sakes, come on, you guys are wimps." So I get out of the car, and I don't know why I did this, but I walked around the back of the car instead of just going forward. Right? It's weird, right? So I walk around the back, and they all get out of the car after I'm on the other side, and we start heading towards the pavilion. And it was me and the lifeguard, and we're talking, and then all of a sudden, this big shadow comes swooping right in front of us, and you can hear the whoosh, right? Like you can hear it, and we both stop dead in our tracks, and the two kids walk right into us, boom, because they weren't paying attention. And I'm like, "Did you see that?" And the lifeguard goes, "Nope, let's get out of here." And they all ran, and I'm like standing there, and I'm like, "What are you?" So we got in the car. I can't explain it. The thing was like the size of an elephant. So I don't know what it was, right? So it is what it is. So we get in, and I'm like, "You sure you don't want your backpack?" I was like, "I'll get it tomorrow." So we went back to the cabin, and we get in the cabin, and now, it's like 3 hours already has gone by, and we haven't heard from them. And then we finally get a phone call, and it is Kathy. Kathy calls using Christina's phone, and she's like, "Ron, we're stuck." And I'm like, "Where you, where you stuck?" They're like, "We passed up the camp, and we came up to this tree, and the van died. It just died. Everything shut off. All of the phones went off, so we couldn't make a phone call. We couldn't call you to let you know what was going on. But we can't get the van started now." And I know what tree they were talking about because there was some history there.
Uh-oh.
That tree was in the middle of like the road. So the road kind of goes around to one side and around to the other side, and it's got this big bare
Unknown
spot.
caller.
A big bare spot. What was that?
My phone.
Oh, okay.
I didn't have my Bluetooth turned down on my little
Oh,
mixing board. I apologize.
that's okay. So the tree was hit by a motorcycle, and the guy died.
Oh.
So now they say there's a big thing that is in that area that, you go around the tree 3 times, blah, blah, all that crap, right? But it's still, the van died next to it. So, I mean, it is what it is, right? So as she's talking to me, I could hear the van start. And they're like, "Oh, it's working. We're going to be right there." Right? So they get there. And, you know, nothing happens for the rest of that night, but nobody wanted to leave the cabin. I'm like, "Oh, let's go around the camp." I know the campground like the back of my hand, and I could go all the way around the lake, and come back, and nobody
Nope.
would go out of the cabin. Right. So the next morning, people are starting to wake up. I'm awake, and I'm making some hot chocolate, and and Kathy's like, "Ron, you need to see this." And I'm like, "Oh, what now? What's going on with the pavilion now?" And she's like, "It's not the pavilion." Across the lake, you see all the trees, right? I walk outside, and that was the first thing I saw. All you see is the biggest tree on the grounds, shaking like somebody's taking it and just shaking it. That one tree. And it wasn't like wind was blowing it, it was just shaking. And I'm like, "That's odd." Right? So they're like, well, maybe it's a bear in the tree or something like that. No bear is going to move that tree. It is huge, huge. So I know what tree it is because we walk by it all the time. And so I decided, all right, I'm going to go check it out. And then, Victor and Tristan, the two scaredy cats, they're like, oh, can we go? I'm like, you sure you want to go? It's like, yeah, it's just a hike down to the other side of the campground. I'm like, okay, you see the tree, right? Yeah, they didn't it didn't register to them that it could be something, right? So we go down there, we walk past the beach area where they swim and the main office building, and then we go into the campsites where all the kids stay, you know, and they make all their tents and stuff like that, and that where they go and they eat their lunches and stuff like that. And everything was torn to shreds. Everything torn to shreds. All the tents they made out of the sheets and stuff like that. Everything torn to shred. It looked like World War II. It was crazy, but we got all the way out there. Now this tree, it would take three of me to be able to put our arms around the tree. This tree is huge. There's no way. Like, it would have to be Godzilla that shook the tree like that, or King Kong. There's no bear that was going to do that. And I've never seen a bear that out there. So, I mean, I suppose it could, but we don't know what happened, right? So, the end of the day comes and we go home. We decided, oh, let's go back out there again. But then everybody volunteered because they all heard the stories. But the third time we went, nobody wanted to go because it's nothing. They're just, blowing smoke up our butts. This is where it happened. So we finally, all these kids decided, yeah, let's go around the camp. We want to see if there's something out here, right? This was a mission now. Now, I took my ex-girlfriend with me who was in the National Guard. She was a sergeant in the National Guard, and she went, but she wasn't going out there. She stayed in the cabin with the people that didn't want to go out there. So we went, and we're all in a line, and I'm first, and I'm following the path, and everybody's following behind me. Um, and then this was like right away. We went up a little hill next to the art pavilion, and we go down and follow the path around. And then it comes to a creek, and then you cross the creek, and then it goes a big hill up to like the cliffs. We didn't even get that far. That's only a 5-minute walk to the creek. We never got there. So we go, and I'm walking through this tunnel, like with lattice and vines. It was a tunnel about 10, 15 feet long, which there isn't one anywhere on the campground. There's none. This doesn't
All right.
exist. So we walk through, and I'm like, this has got to be the wrong way. And in the back of my head, I know there's nothing like this out there. So I'm like, everybody's asking me, what's wrong? What's wrong? It's like, oh, I think we just took a wrong turn. So we turn back around and we go back to where we started, right? Well, back to where we started, it came out to this big grassy opening, which again doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. So I'm like, what the hell? And I'm like looking, and I'm like, this is impossible because now the path is gone that we were just on. So I'm like, all right, I have a good sense of direction. So I'm just going to make a beeline to where it should be. And I come up to the path. Great. Okay. We got this path. I don't know what just happened, but we go into the path and I move a tree branch so it doesn't hit me in the face. And there's a guy standing there. Farmer jeans, like this fellow right here, those same farmer jeans, but he had a white t-shirt on, and he was like late 50s, early 60s, kind of a worn face, and he had a comb over.
Nice.
Like I could just pick this guy out of the lineup to this day. And it startled me, so I took a step back and I knocked over a kid. And I
Whoops.
looked down to help him get back up, and I looked up, guy was gone.
Hmm.
Now, all of this probably took about a half an hour in time. We get back, it was only like 5 minutes. And Cheryl was like, "Why are you back so fast? You guys didn't go? Did somebody get scared?" I was like, "What do you mean back so fast? We've been gone a while." No, we weren't gone a while. We were gone for like 5 minutes tops. And it's like, I don't know. To this day, I don't know what happened there. But that night, we had a storm blow through, and when I woke up early in the morning, it was like 4:30 in the morning. All the kids' towels that were hanging up, on the pavilion, on the other side of the pavilion, were all across the van windows, like flattened perfectly, covering the entire van window. It was crazy. It was crazy.
Indeed.
you know so I mean, it was just a weird story, and I know it took a long time, and I apologize for that. Believe me, there are other stories I have, but we'll leave it at that.
That was a pretty
uh,
good one. I'm not gonna lie. That's got me in the
I am
Halloween
sorry
spirit
that it took
now.
that long to explain it, but that was what happened. And there was a lot of other things that go on. Let me tell you, I think something followed me around for like years after that.
Nice.
Just saying.
Sometimes it just happens like that, ladies and gentlemen.
Absolutely. All right, let's get to it. I lived in a haunted house one time.
I did indeed. And this is kind of maybe a little bit similar to your story, but not quite as intense. So, back in, I guess it was like the late 90s, I was a young man and had all kinds of fun times doing cool stuff. Well, myself and a couple of friends decided that we were going to get a place. I lived in an apartment and, had those kind of deals. We decided we were going to get a place to stay. It was going to be somewhere kind of cool where we could have some fun. We could, maybe have some people over, entertain, if you know what I'm saying. So we found this perfect house, and it was way out in the middle of nowhere, which now it's not the middle of nowhere. It's completely developed now. But back in the day, it was the only house on this entire street. And this was a dark country road out in Ohio. And this was before we had internet or cell phones or any of that stuff, which I think contributed
Yeah.
a lot to the fear factor that goes into it. So we meet this nice gentleman and his wife, and they're both pretty old. I'd say they were at least in their mid 80s at this point. And we don't know anything about it, but we like them. And they say, hey, if you guys would like to rent this place, you're more than welcome. So we did. And it's a beautiful farmhouse. It's out in the middle of nowhere. There's like 3 or 4 off buildings, where you can, there's classic cars in one. There's a bunch of storage stuff in another. But then you got the big house. And the house was built probably in the late 1800s. And it's not up to date. It's not been, redone anytime in the last 50 years. It's an old school house,
Yeah.
and it's in the middle of nowhere. It doesn't have any crazy amenities or anything like that. And one night we were sitting out there and just having a good old time, and out of nowhere, we hear a car pull up. Nobody's expecting any guests. Like, people don't even know where we live, and we're out in the middle of nowhere. Well, this car pulls up. We may have been we were younger, so we may have been doing some other things at that point that maybe made things seem a little bit more real than they really might have been.
Maybe.
Wink wink. But we end up in this house scared for our lives because someone is beating on the front and the side doors trying to get into the house. And we had lights on and everything, but we went into this, oh my God, they're gonna kill us. We started hiding, right? In broad daylight. The it was night out, but we had lights on in the house. So obviously, people are gonna think that nobody must be here. Well, this guy's pounding on the door. We hear some yelling going on out there. We hear all this stuff. Freaks every one of us out to the point where we don't even want to live here anymore. None of us had any kind of protection or anything like that back in the day. We thought we were literally going to die. Well, Ron, we come to find out later on down the road, the house wasn't really haunted. It wasn't really like someone coming to kill us. That family had a falling out, and the parents and the children were at war with each other.
Oh
And we
boy.
didn't know anything of this. But what happened was this sun shows up, and it was raining out as well. Cold Saturday night.
That's the scene.
It was in October. Everything that was, could go wrong was there.
Yeah.
And we come to find out, though, the son wants us out of the house because he's about to inherit the house. The parents are old. He wants to sell it. They don't want to sell it. So we're kind of stuck in the middle. And this guy's scaring the daylights out of us. Well, he ends up leaving. We find out the next day this was all a big ruse and it was a hoax. But for this one night in my life, Ron, I lived in
Yeah.
a haunted house. There were ghosts. There were people that were going to come try to kill us. We lived
Yeah.
through this entire
Oh, it's
ordeal.
terrifying.
Oh my God. Well, we moved out shortly thereafter. And sure enough, the parents passed away. They sold the property. It's now a strip mall. But in the interest of Halloween, in the interest of cold October, rainy nights, and random people showing up at your country house out in the middle of nowhere, which makes the perfect plot to a horror movie, you all got killed and nobody could hear you screaming. I did, in fact, for one night only, live in a haunted house.
Absolutely. And that is a terrifying, especially when you're a younger person,
Oh, and this house was gross as it was. Like, I had the downstairs bathroom, and when I say downstairs, it was a basement, and like it was pretty nasty down there. And I had this little shower, and I'd go down there and get ready every morning, and it scared the daylights of me because I'd see giant spiders, I'd see all kinds
Mm.
of stuff that I really wasn't excited to see. But in that one moment in October on a Saturday night, cold, rainy, dreary, we all thought we were going to die at our haunted house on Shire Rings Road in Dublin, Ohio. So there
Wait,
you go.
Shire Rings?
Shire Rings.
Oh, that doesn't sound enticing either.
No, and the guy was actually Rings who we were renting the house from. His name was Mr. Rings. And it was like literally him and one other guy owned the entire street at one point. And
Jeez.
yeah, they loved that house and it was a lot of fun, but it was a little sketchy as well. So, in the
I don't
interest
think
of
we're going
spooky
back to the
things and
Shire,
Halloween and all
Bruno.
that, here we are.
Wow, that's petrifying because you don't know what the hell's going on and you get disoriented by the happenings and it's
Oh,
like,
grown men hiding in closets, crawling along the baseboards of the floor so the guy can't see us moving. And then we come to find out it was this guy, and he was probably the least intimidating human being you've ever seen. And I think that was the funniest part. He's just a little short guy, shows up, and we were scared for our lives. And there was nothing he could have done to us, but
it's funny.
circumstances that day dictated otherwise, and I'll never
Yeah,
forget the day I lived in a haunted house.
when you add the scene in with, whatever you're consuming, it
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 definitely
could
changed the entire outlook
it
of
does.
the
It
story.
does. It does. That's fantastic, Chuck. I love it. I love it. We're gonna be late, but we're gonna get this there because I have to do this. I have to do this. Ron's top five
Yeah,
Stephen King horror adaptations.
nice.
Notice how I put it way down next to you. Pennywise is down there. We'll just leave that. I
Oh
got
yeah,
the folks from The Stand. Here's Larry. Glenn, Stu, and Larry. No, not Larry. I can't remember his name. Oh my god, I forgot his name. Now I have to watch the movie again.
We're gonna call him Ron for today's
Yeah.
episode. Ron,
All
everybody.
right. So these are the Stephen King movie horror adaptations. Why am I having a tough time speaking now all of a sudden? Must be that haunted house
Indeed.
or the consumption. What was in here?
A little extra sweet.
So there's a lot of horror, and I just did horror. So, like, obviously, Shawshank Redemption, I didn't put it in. I didn't consider that horror, right? I also didn't put in Under the Dome, which I loved the
Okay.
series. That was a great series. Um, but there was all kinds of stuff like Creep Show, Thinner, you know, Cat's Eye, Silver Bullet, Maximum Overdrive, Pet Cemetery, The Dead Zone, Graveyard Shift, The Dark Half, The Mist, The Boogeyman, Trucks. So there was all kinds of stuff. So I'm just gonna brush through that. Right, that's done. My honorable mentions, in fact, was Thinner is on my honorable mentions. I actually enjoyed that.
All
That was a pretty
right.
good movie. All right. 1408 made it. The one with John Cusack and Samuel L. Jackson in that hotel room. That was pretty creepy. That was a good movie.
I gotta be honest with you, Ron. I don't know anything about horror movies. You are teaching me something new right here. I've never heard of
Yeah,
any of these.
that one's a little
This
scary.
is yeah.
You might know this one, Cujo.
Oh yeah.
The dog.
Cujo.
I
A friendly
mean,
little dog.
that was brutal. That was brutal. Because I like animals, and that sheds a whole new light
Yeah, it made you
on
rethink
animals.
your affinity for dogs there for a second.
Yeah, it did. It did. Um, Also, the 2017 version of It. So
Okay.
the newer It, the first one that it came out, the remake, that one was pretty good. The first one, it was okay. I'm sure the books are all better, right?
That's how it always works.
Yeah. So It 2017, that one made it. My honorable mention, Bubble movie. So this one just missed. And I don't know if you remember this, but Salem's Lot, the 1979 version, the original version with David Soul, Hutch
Okay.
from Starsky and Hutch. He was in that one. That one was rough. I had a hard time getting through that. That was tough. 79, I was still a kid. I was 13 when I saw that. That freaked me out. Woof, that was rough.
Left a lasting impression. Here we are years later, and it's like, I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah.
about
I
that
never
one.
watched it again after that. I never watched it again. So, so the top five. Number 5, I have Carrie, the original Carrie.
All right.
That was such a great movie. Fantastic movie. Loved it. The new one was good, just was updated. That's all. But it followed pretty much the same thing as the original. So that was pretty good. Number 4, Jack, The Shining was number 4.
All right.
And I know, like, people are
Strong
probably
top
like, how is
five.
that number 4? It should be number 1. I just think the storyline was kind of, it didn't compute.
All right.
It
Yeah,
just
it
kind
gotta
of was
make
like all over
sense.
the place, and it didn't make any sense at times.
Gotta make
Good
sense.
morning, Danny. Welcome. Always a pleasure. So The Shining was number 4, and number 3 I have Misery with Kathy
Okay.
Bates and James Caan.
That's
That
a
was
pretty good
such a
one.
great movie. That was a great movie. That dude went through hell.
I can agree
Went
with
through
that at
hell.
number 3. That's a top 3.
Yeah. So it was definitely great. And number 2, and I'm mad that I didn't put the stupid car. Christine. I can't believe I didn't put the car on the graphics. I I made sure I had the car, I cut it all out and I forgot to
Just
put it
got
on the
tied
graphics.
up. The
Forgot to
car's
put
here
it
in
on the graphics.
spirit.
But that movie was awesome. When a car freaks you out, mm, mm, mm.
Oh
Such a great
yes.
movie. But number one, absolutely, were these guys right here. The Stand had some great actors in it. Obviously, this guy right here from Forrest Gump, Lieutenant Dan, he was in there. Molly Ringwald, Rob Lowe, Bill Farberbucky from Coach was in there. There was a lot of people in there. So, so it was such a great miniseries. Then they tried to remake it recently.
It just doesn't work out. Never
It was
does.
awful. It was awful. It was
Nothing that they
awful. So
try to
now they're
remake
trying to
after a
do it again.
while. Yeah. I saw a couple TV shows that they tried to remake, and I thought, number one, why? And
Yeah.
number two, like, who
Yeah.
cares, you know?
Yeah, so that was my top 5 Stephen King horror adaptations. Of course, the best one that he has is Shawshank Redemption, but I didn't consider that horror or anything like that. It was just, you know,
It's a movie.
it's a movie.
I gotcha.
So that was that. There's our spookiness for the day, right? We had all 4 segments were spooky stuff.
Exactly. We're kicking a week off in style, and it can only
Yeah.
go downhill from here, right?
Absolutely. So tomorrow is Kyle and Sharon. So be here at 10 a.m. For them to be here. They haven't been together in a while. You know, Sharon. I'm trying to think. I don't think Sharon was even here last week because I think she went to Europe and you know she's enjoying her time off.
Sometimes
So
you got to get that footage from Europe. I'm
absolutely.
working on getting a podcast from Japan this week. See what happens.
Oh, that ought to be fun. So be it tomorrow. Kyle Miller and Sharon Clark will be here to bring all the spookiness tomorrow as well, right? And 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific, and in between, 8 and
Everything in
9,
between.
everything in between. Chuck, you're saying you got your podcast going from Japan this coming up, right? So let us know where everybody can find you.
I'm all over the place, ladies and gentlemen. You can see down here, youtube.com, Chuck Allen 210. And the 210 is indicative of my home, which is San Antonio, Texas, area code 210.
There you go.
You can also find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok. I think I'm on X. I'm still not on like 3 or 4 of those other ones that we have. I do need to go check out Space Hay and see what that's all about.
Hey,
I don't even know, but it sounds cool. But
it's a
if you just
remake of
type in my
MySpace.
name, you can find me anywhere on the internet. I'm unavoidable. I was gonna say
Unavoidable.
inescapable, but
Unavoidable.
once you're caught, you're caught.
Yeah,
So
so you got to
that's how
check
you
out
find
Keeping It
me.
Rio.
Yep.
Check it out.
Gotta check out
Go
Keeping It
there.
Real. I just recorded episode 240 this morning, and my goal is 2,500. So still got a ways
When
to
does that
go.
air?
That mine air Thursdays at 7 p.m. Central on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. I think 2 or 3 different Facebook
There you go.
pages
You got to go
and
check it
something
out.
else. But yeah, I definitely think it's the best podcast in the world. Maybe I'm a little biased, but I think it is. So
Very
go
good.
watch it and tell me if you agree.
It's got to be in the top 2, right?
Exactly.
Got to
Maybe
be.
Rogan still has a little bit
Yeah,
on me, but it's getting
maybe a
smaller every
little.
day.
Maybe a little.
Smaller every day.
He's not all that.
Nope. We
All
heard
right,
I was coming
everybody.
for him.
Thank you, Jake, and thank you, Danny, for being here. Always a pleasure. Don't forget to vote for the Hall of Fame. So go to the Rhode Island Broadcasting.net to do that. It's right on the home page. So go do it. And we'll see everybody next time. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you guys.